Hey, what's up, y'all, and welcome to Respectfully with Miss Pretty Young Thing. I'm your girl, PYT, and let's get into it. So, y'all, you already know this past weekend we had Season 3, Episode 8 of BMF come out. It's time for us to do the review, and of course, I'm going to be beating my face. I'm going to go grab something to eat with the girlies tonight, so y'all are going to keep me company as I do that. And then in the meantime, y'all make sure to like this video. Be sure to check out some of the other BMF videos if you have not done so already. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about what you think is going to happen in this upcoming episode, your predictions, what you think about my predictions, and of course, subscribe to my channel respectfully, okay? We are back with another video, okay? Y'all, I'm so excited to talk about this episode. I'm so excited to hear y'all theories and to give my own. We're going to be talking about, of course, Season 3, Episode 8. This is the official recap, okay? So let me know exactly how this episode made you feel. What are your predictions for the last 2 episodes left of the season? Who you think is going to be left behind next for the season? This was a crazy episode. A lot of people sniped out, okay? A lot of right-hand mans got rid on the season, okay? Meech and Terry, we already know, is going down to Miami. It's going to be more issues with the MKs. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to see how they're going to get out of all of the mess, okay? So we know in this episode, Terry stepped up to the plate, making a bunch of boss moves, meeting up with Henrietta's plug, cutting her off, neutralizing, okay? And then, of course, the whole lottery ticket scheme all together, okay? There was a lot of different things that we're going to have to discuss. Well, on Meech's side, you know, he had to take out Glock's right-hand man. Who knows what's about to happen with Angel, because, you know, she's the one that gave the intel. She's going to be kicking into Miami. She's going to be around the MKs. If Glock finds out, you know, it's going to be over for her. Going to cut her off, cut her open, okay? Detective Bryant on Demon Time, okay? We already know this man is listen, he beat the brakes off that Tyson character, okay? We already know that he is on revenge mode when it comes to everything. You know, Henrietta's about to be upset because her pops told her, stop messing up around, stop screwing up, because if they get another person killed, it's going to be on you. And guess what? He's gone. So we going to see what's going to happen next when it comes to Henrietta. We know she's going to go out with a bang. All right, she lost her plug. She lost Tyson. Veronica Jen is getting extremely close to her. We don't know which direction that this is going to go in, but we're going to see 2 more episodes left. Kind of happy that Veronica Jen got out of there, because if Henrietta finds out what's going on with her, it's going to be over for her. I don't know how she's going to go out, but I feel like it's going to be by Detective Bryant, but we're going to do the key points on this episode. If I miss anything, you let me know down below, okay? So, titled Code Red, Season 3, Episode 8. So, Meech is back at the Platinum Palace. Glock, MK is there as well. Angel there dancing, having a gay old time, kicking it with Glock and his crew. Meech decides to go ahead and make it rain. Glock and his crew pissed off. They ended up leaving. You could tell Angel was in her feelings, looking back like she wanted to have a conversation with him. He ends up hooking up with Lucky. And she wanted to make things a little bit more serious between the two of them. And Meech is like, hell nah, he not looking for no girl right now. All he's looking forward to is getting his money and getting up out of there. Terry and Hoop having another conversation about Henrietta, finding out she's the one that took out Peaches and ended up linking up with Peaches' plug. Owes them money, all right? Terry decides that he is not going to wait to pay them money. He's going to go to them himself to make a deal, which ended up working out with him in the long run, all right? So we know that Vince ended up going up to Terry's spot, running his mouth about Marquisha, what he's doing, his business, and things of that nature, and makes it through IRS threat, okay? So this is one of the reasons why Terry was preparing for what's to come, just in case this dude ended up going to the IRS, okay? You know, he came up with that great scheme with the lottery tickets, just in case they end up asking him some questions, okay? So Meech sees one of the guys getting handed up by the Red Dogs, so he understands that the real threats are the Red Dogs, okay? And they're not playing around. Law enforcement in general is not playing around when it comes to the drug game, okay? Laws are changing. They're trying to give death penalty for drug crimes. He has to make sure his crew and him are good as well. BMF is held down in case anybody needs, the assistant. They got to make sure that they move product in a better way. Duffy said he's going to look around, all right? So they're going to talk about what's happening with Remy as well. And we know that Meech is supposed to meet up with Clyde to discuss what's going to happen to get, him neutralized. So now the pastor's testimony touched a lot of people, especially LaWanda in the next scene. Thinking about the future and, everything going on with herself instead of worried about Terry and whether or not he's going to be there for her and the family. And she got to stay focused and think about her and herself, okay? Lucille tells her that that's a wise plan, figuring out what she got to do and her babies just in case things don't work out the way that she wants them to, right? So Meech makes up with Clyde, find out what's going to happen with Remy, and to see if the other clues are down. But it looks like a couple other crews are back and forth on what they want to do. But Meech tells Clyde that they are all ready to go and talks about meeting up at the Platinum Palace of all places, okay? Always fights there, always something going down, but he said there's not going to be any weapons and they could just discuss business, okay? And he talks about how the MKs, Remy, all of that, it would be bad for them to be going back and forth with violence because of the Red Dogs, which, of course, is very smart. Olympics coming, they're going to be watching a whole lot, okay? Nobody can be making any crazy moves out there, okay? So we already know, unfortunately, Clyde did not get to make it to that meeting because Remy made sure that Meech had a special present in memory of Clyde, okay? So we get to Detective Bryant. He is smoking, drinking, high, drunk, on one, missing his son, mourning. And we know Detective Veronica Jen has to come there and tell him that he needs to clean up, stop having a pity party, stop blaming people. It's not going to bring Detective Emerson back. It's not going to bring Kevin back. We got to be on our P's and Q's. Head on a swivel. Got to be on it, okay? They end up linking up to decide what they need to do, all right? In the conversation that they had, we know Veronica Jen seeing Detective Emerson as a sister. We know the history between her and her real sister, so that relationship meant a lot to her. Brian was talking about his son and how Tyson was the one that came to the facility right before his son ended up, taking himself out. And we know he came there when his son needed protection as well. So he already mentally fixated on this Tyson character. And Veronica Jen already know what's going on with Henrietta, and he's going to find out what's going on with Tyson, okay? So we know Detective Brian cares about Veronica Jen because he says that he cannot afford to lose her or anybody else that's close to him, okay? So it shows that he actually does care for her. So we get over to Raw Dog Charles, okay? Ends up telling Lucille that somebody at the church recommended him to play for the Campbell brothers. So he is happy. He wants Lucille to be there to support him or whatever. And she really had the audacity to ask him if she could bring Maurice. Honestly, every joke has some truth in it. We know she was joking, but I feel like she really wanted to bring the doctor there, which is crazy as hell. Because it's just like, yo, you really gonna sit here and play in this man's face like that? He is whipping out his best tricks. His best tricks. And you have the audacity to be asking this man if you could bring your side nigga. Your side nigga to the circumstance. Honestly, let me know in the comments how you felt about that, because honestly, I felt slighted. I feel bad for him because at the end of the day, you see Charles doing his very best to kind of sort of do something new, to kind of sort of think outside the box, and to kind of sort of make sure that he's putting his best foot forward to showing his wife that, he cares and that he's in it to win it, and that he's going to do everything it takes, to win her heart. So imagine a circumstance where she's literally telling him like, yo, I know you're trying to impress me or whatever, but I want to show my other nigga, what tricks that you got up your sleeve. Can I bring him too? Can you play for me and my other nigga? Like, girl, you disrespectful. Honestly, I ain't gonna hold you. In some circumstances, he a better person than me. Like, write in the comments what you would have done if you're married to your wife still. Y'all are not even legally separated. You was trying to do something nice for her, and she over here stepping to you crazy, talking about bringing her side man, to what's supposed to be a romantic getaway for the both of y'all. Like, please let me know in the comments what y'all thought about that moment, because I'm still in shock by how well Charles handled that situation. Because I know me, I would have flipped. I would have been shaking the table. I've been shaking the table. I'm not gonna hold you. I feel like Charles is a better man than a lot of us, because his patience level, his patience is wearing thin, because he already had that conversation with her where he was saying, like, it's been long enough, like, we've been doing the freaky deaky, and you over here acting like that honestly means nothing. And honestly, I feel where he's coming from, because she's really acting like, all the efforts that he's doing is in vain, and that all of the efforts that he's doing don't amount to anything. And that's honestly not fair, because she needs to make it black and white. Either we're going to work towards something or we're not. Either you're trying, to find your happiness within the happy home that we have built together, or you're not. So for her to be playing and like weeding around the circumstance is honestly a little classless. And respectfully, you playing games, mommy. Lucille, stop playing with your husband. Okay? Figure it out. Okay? She needs to figure it out. So, in that circumstance, we gonna see how this plays out. So, we gonna see. But like I said before, let me know in the comments what you think about that situation. Because at the end of the day, altogether, I feel like Lucille is being a bad example for her children, especially their daughter, because you can't sit here and try to pass her tampons, birth control pills, and things of that nature, and you aren't putting up your end of the bargain, So it's kind of ghetto. It's kind of ghetto. I'm not with what is going down in the circumstance, but we gonna see which way that it plays out. But altogether, you already see, in some sense, all of her kids have stepped to her in some way. We already know that the daughter have told her about herself on multiple occasions when it comes to the doctor. We already know that Terry in the last episode had told her about herself, like, you can't judge me because we not that different. Honestly, all that's missing is Meech tell her about herself, but he loves his parents. I've never seen him kind of cross them in that way. But we're gonna see how that plays out as far as Lucille. I'm not sure how it plays out in the real story to know if I really have a true, basis on where I think that is gonna go. But let's said it before, I feel like Raw Dog Charles is gonna win in that situation. I don't think there's any other way that it's going to play out except for, them staying together. I feel like she's punishing him while, sowing her royal oats. But she ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere. Her feelings for her man ain't going nowhere, okay? But if you feel differently, let me know in the comments. If you would handle it differently, if you were Charles, let me know in the comments, okay? So at the end of the day, we're going to see how that goes. So like I said before, with any joke, there's some sort of truth. Her wanting to bring the doctor or whatever, Charles was not liking it, right? So you could tell by the look on his face, he was extremely disappointed. All he wants is Lucille to be there for him at one of his biggest moments. Y'all know as Charles loves music and he just wants to have a good time, right? And she really said that to him. But unfortunately, the doctor was not in this episode. I really wanted to see Charles smack the mess out of him, go one-on-one, throw them hands. But aside from that, Charles was in his feelings because he basically told him it's up to her as far as what she wants to do, because, Charles is trying to do whatever it takes to put the family back together, and of course, to have her on his side in that process. But we go over to Nicole, speaking with Breeze, and of course, his friend and his girl in the front seat, and reads past the note saying that he wants her to be his girlfriend. She marks yes. So cute. Okay, the friend goes into the store getting some condoms, talking about hitting raw. Man, I don't know, but these kids, These kids back in the day, I mean, I don't know what age range y'all are in. I can see why that conversation went that way because that's what teenagers, think about. But big shout out to Breeze, who actually cares about her and wants to move slow. Doesn't care about that circumstance. So Terry over here walking by, all he probably heard was something about raw dogging. Okay, he comes, collects his sister out of the car, embarrasses her in front of everybody. Nicole was trying to set herself free, and Terry was not going nowhere. You already know she's going to be pissed off at him in the later episode, but honestly, I don't blame Terry at all. If I would have saw somebody, if I had a little sister and that was the case, it would have been the same circumstance, okay? And me being the only girl of my family, I would get it if my brothers did the same thing for me, okay? So now we move on to Meech testing out a new way to test out drugs just in case, all the police that's moving around pops up. So they doing a new way to test it out, okay? We already know later on in the episode, one of the new guys gets up. What they thought was coke was actually baking soda in the pullover, okay? Because the Red Dogs are acting up. They were really pissed off on that circumstance, okay? So they had to hurry up and get the Techwood because they heard about the MKs and drama dropping off there. So Clyde meets up with the other crews and they're trying to see what time it is when it comes to joining Meech and leaving Remy, okay? So sad thing is, unfortunately, this game plan did not work because Clyde is moving too slow. And when it comes to Remy could literally walk up in there, which is exactly what's happening. And this time, Remy said, I'm taking you out. And he ends up dropping his boy off right there. Right hand. Raised him like he was his son, okay? And he was extremely disappointed, all right? He got to slicing him, okay? Took in some body parts to the Platinum Palace. Cut the tongue and the head on a platter, okay? So we get to Henrietta, who has to pay the supplier, but she doesn't have enough money, and she is struggling, okay? But luckily, her dad's right-hand man, a.k.a. her uncle, brings her some money to make the payment to save her. And she's like, man, I can't believe you are the one that's doing this. Coming to the realization that she does not like what her dad is on, and she feels like he left her high and dry. Tyson was just like, screw your daddy, he's not for you. And this is one of the reasons why he decided to work with her instead of her pops, okay? He's not feeling that, all right? So she already lost her cousin Twan, and unfortunately, she's about to lose Tyson. And when she finds out what happened to Tyson, she's going to be very upset, okay? And I wonder what her dad is going to say on that. Because he said, not too long ago, if she keeps stepping up somebody closer to you, slipping up, somebody closer to you is going to die. And honestly, he was right on the line. So we're going to see. But going back to Raw Dog Charles, getting shaped up by Terry, okay? We're going to see. I'm surprised Terry got him shaped up right with that little eye, but we're not going to talk about that. But he tells him that he needs some money so that Lucille can have a great night if he does pop up at the performance or whatever. And Terry does end up giving him some cash, right? So Charles was trying to work for it, but Terry's like, look, here goes a little advance from working at the diner or whatever. He was happy as hell, looking like, man, I'm about to move. He looked like he was ready to move bricks. I ain't gonna hold you. He looked tired of struggling when he looked at that money in his hand, okay? It's my money and I need it now. So we're going to see, because you already know this is the beginning of Charles getting in the business. We're going to see how that story develops. All right, so Meech on the phone talking about going down to Miami, probably linking up with that boxer that we've seen a few episodes back. I remember his car that he showed him outside the club that was decked out with the hidden compartments and things of that nature, right? So apparently the mechanic that he uses down in Miami, which is why Meech wants to go down there, okay? So 9 description tells us that that's what they're going to be doing. So there's going to be issues with the MKs. So we go back to the Red Dogs, and they are turning the hell up. They're at Techwood, and they end up destroying Milton's family home. Milton, the little boy that got dropped off by Glock, the little light-skinned one. All right. They in there tearing things up, being extremely disrespectful. And we know Glock was out there on the outskirts watching, okay? And he had a conversation with his right-hand man, telling him that this place got cops everywhere, okay? And we got to figure out another way to handle this. when it comes to everything. And he said meet him down in Miami, saying that he needs to handle Meech. He got to get him up out of there. So Angel is right there, and she knows that Glock wants Meech gone, which is why she ends up telling him to be careful and to watch himself later on in the episode. So now we get to Terry and Markeisha talking about his scheme with the lottery tickets or whatever. Sam, back from season 1, like episode 4, something like that, and he's been knowing Meech and Terry since they were little boys. So basically, Terry came up with a new lottery scheme to get people to basically sell their lottery tickets to him using Sam and his operation, all his stores, in order to do this. So they go in, they cash in their ticket, either drive to the lottery headquarters, or they can get their money plus an extra 10% to get the cash right there, okay? Most people are gonna choose the latter instead of the former, okay? So then they take that ticket and use somebody like Hoop's cousin to go make the tax claim on that ticket to go get the check, okay? Then they get the check and buy whatever Terry needs them to buy. Clean money, okay? Terry gonna give them a cut, okay? Giving them sale as well. And when it comes to the IRS, they're never gonna ask Terry about anything because technically, the taxpayer who claims that ticket, that's who they have to worry about, okay? So they're using Sam's connection with the Chaldeans, using networks with all those stores, okay? Boy, Terry was definitely on very smart terms when it comes to this episode as far as business moves go, all right? So, homeboy pops up, running his mouth. Terry puts him in his place, letting him know that he is watching him. Mr. Officer, you are being watched, okay? You know he been after Lala for a minute. He looking shivering and shaking, knowing everything that he do. Yo, when I tell you Terry told him about himself, letting him know what type of coffee he drink, where he take his lunch breaks at, etc., etc. Honestly, that was a power move, and you already know the way Lala set up. She was wetter. Let me dive in your ocean. All right. Honestly, I thought Vince was going to be more than a threat, okay? But it looks like that is not the case. But we're going to see if we're going to see more of his character. But from the looks of it, he probably went and cried in the car. He went to cry in Nissan. Right out Charles. Oh, they're playing his music, having a good old time, happy. Lucille, she seems to be happy. And it looks like she's always in a good mood when Charles is doing music things, okay? And you know he just wants to get his family back together, okay? So we know he was out there outside talking to Lucille. A guy walks up to them in the meantime and said that he loves the performance. She tells him that he's, writes music. He wants to hear it, okay? He gives him the card. It looks like Charles might be on the way, okay? So Lucille talking about how she would have made certain moves when she was younger and maybe use more time to focus on them. And Charles is like, look, everything happened for a reason, okay? We were in the position that we were in for a reason. He don't want to take nothing back. And they still got time to live out their dreams, and it's not over yet, okay? So Charles is saying all the right things. Question is, how does Lucille really feel? And what is going to happen when Dr. Maurice pops back up in the picture? So we go over to Detective Veronica Jen, kicking it with Henrietta, and it looks like the two have a lot in common. So they're talking about her sister, and Henrietta ends up talking about her mom's passing away when she was, born, which is one of the reasons why her dad feels some type of way about her, which is kind of sad because we get to see a different side of Henrietta, and it looks like Detective Veronica Jen is actually having feelings for her in this process. So, while in the midst of sharing what she's going through, law enforcement walks in, so Jen had to reach in for that kiss so that they would not recognize her and see her. So they go back to Henrietta's spot. They recognize, it's getting hot and steamy, okay? She sees that picture of Henrietta and her cousins, and she's like, nah, I gotta go. I can't be sitting here getting distracted. I gotta remember what I'm here. They ask me what I do and who I do it for. So Veronica Jen is feeling a little bad about what she has to do in order to take down Henrietta. But we gonna see how that goes, okay? So back to the Platinum Palace. Meech is supposed to be meeting up with Clyde, but guess what? Clyde, he's showing up. Child, at least his head is, because Remy dropped it off on ice, okay? Had Tina in there screaming. Honestly, that was cold. The ice that it was sitting in was definitely cold. So we're going to see how that ends up paying off as far as, his presence not being on there. But it's crazy how easy it was for Remy to just drop him off. But what we're noticing is a trend of if you switch sides, you not gonna leave alive. Okay? So he's just like, dang, we wasn't trying to have no money. We not trying to have no issues. Remy don't give a damn, okay? Meech tells him, look, if your right-hand man, Clyde, was willing to leave you, what you think everybody else is going to do, okay? What you think these guys right next to here, what you think they going to do, okay? They're not going to stick around because the way you do business is really risky, really shysty, and you going to mess around and get them all killed. So we already know that Meech is offering them a way better deal anyway. They can make way more money with less drama, okay? So Terry takes Sam with him on this deal with the Chaldeans, okay, to talk business. And he discusses Henrietta and why she's going out of business is because of Terry, his prices, the product, and he wants them to work with them, get better deals, you know, product from him as well. And they could just cut Henrietta all the way off, which is what he wants. And of course, they end up agreeing. So it seems like Terry has done what he needed to do on him. His point, which is cut, girl, I ain't talking to you, cut Henrietta straight off, okay? The whole move to bring Sam was very smart. Honestly, good business move. So it looks like he has the one up when it comes to the Henrietta situation. But I think Henrietta might end up going out with a bang. It's not over yet. We're going to see how this season continues. So Angel meets Meech outside of the club. And he's just like, yo, you really have the audacity to come here trying to give me intel? But we already know she really does care about Meech. She still had on his hoodie. She wants to look out for him, right? She tells him to watch him back, that Glock is up to something, and that this could be very, very dangerous situation for him. And that she's going down to Miami to a new club. And that Meech told her, make sure that she is safe. You know, he still cares for her. He wants to make sure that she's good as well. You know, she was all in her feelings because Meech left. But it seems like the two, at least for right now, have squashed their issue. But I'm going to tell you right now, Angel is risking her life giving Meech this information. We already know that she's going to be down in Miami. We're going to see the MKs as well. And this could be the end for the girl Angel. So let me know in the comments whether or not you think that that's true. Do you think that Angel is going to survive? Or do you think that my theory is true, that Glock is going to end up taking her off? Listen, unaliving her. So Meech had a 2-for-1 special because Angel told him about Glock, and that he needs to watch his back. You would think that he would move a little smarter, but no. Cheeks will be clapped, okay? But now all of a sudden, Glock's right-hand man pops up to the party, comes in shooting, okay? Ends up shooting Dila in the shoulder, okay? This dude is not playing around, all right? It looked like the girls were setting him up, which I think they did because Dila had her girl Crystal with him, so maybe she was part of the setup. But either or, you know, Meech and Glock's right-hand man, they going at it back right and forth, you know, fighting or whatever the case may be. And all of a sudden, Meech is able to get the guy up off of him, and he goes out of the window, okay? Sends him flying, all right? Met his fate. Rest in peace. Another body dropped off, okay? So we know Glock is going to be pissed off that his man's is not going home, okay? Where is my right-hand man? Supposed to be meeting him in Miami, and he did tell him to take out Meech, so you already know he going to be thinking about what really happened when it came to him, okay? So Meech having a conversation with Duffy because, you know, Meech has to go down to Miami, and Duffy is telling him, you better keep your head on the swivel while you down there. You going down where the MKs, it's very dangerous. You know, that's where the Zoes be at. Meech is telling him he ain't got no choice because the mechanic is down there, and he needs to go down there to make these business moves. So that's where he's going to be, regardless of if the MKs are there or not. So we know Meech does have a conversation with Terry about going to Miami. And Terry at first was just like, But Terry told him he'll meet him down there. So we going to see Meech and Terry down in Miami dealing with the MKs coming up, okay? And it's funny because Meech told Duffy, Angel gave me intel about Glock, and she ended up being right. And we going to see, because if it ends up being right, we going to see if he going to give her more information. But it looks like not all of the angels in the world are going to be able to save him, okay? So we going to see, because he is not lying. But at the end of the episode, we get to Officer Bryant on Demon Time, because he is on one. He sees Tyson, already blaming Tyson for what happened for his son, because he knows that he was the last person to see his son, and probably the one that took protection away from Kevin. So Detective Bryant gets out the car, goes up there, and beats the brakes out this boy. Tyson was fighting back, but it wasn't enough. Honestly, it was wild. It was wild. It was Holyfield. It was punch for punch. It was blow for blow. He was floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee. Honestly, he beat him to his death. Another body dropped off, okay? And honestly, Henrietta, you already know she's going to be very, very upset once she learns what about this news. So episode 9 and 10, you already know it's going to be a whole lot of action, a whole lot of drama. And now it is time to see how we gonna finish off the people like Henrietta, like Remy. Honestly, it's time to finish people off like Glock, but we know it's easier said than done. We're gonna see what the two brothers are gonna be able to do, especially since they're gonna be together down in Miami. We know the cats down there are gonna be a little difficult, but we're gonna find out soon enough how this is gonna go, okay? So, big shout out to everyone that stayed on here for the recap of this episode. Feel free to type in the comments how you think the shit to Miami is gonna go. Now, what I wanted to point out is, it is in Miami, y'all, that Lil Meech was born. He was born and raised in Miami. So I feel like in the upcoming episode, we are going to run into the mother of Lil Meech. So we're gonna see how this goes. When and how it's going to go ahead and blend into, you know, where we are today, like the birth of Lil Meech. Oh, I forgot to turn the hot comb on. The birth of Lil Meech when it comes to how it's gonna play out. Whether by the time he meets up with them, what's gonna happen with Henrietta. We already know in the true story, Terry ends up going to Cali and taking on the West Coast part of the regime, which I don't think is going to happen this season. But probably we'll see more of that in the upcoming season. And honestly, we're going to see how this goes. But I'm super excited for the next 2 episodes, y'all, because we have 2 episodes left of the season. So I am expecting a lot of bodies getting dropped off. I'm expecting, you know, it to get a little interesting in Miami. We already know that Meech is going in some territories that are already marked and trying to make his own connections and trying to do it. You know, he's all about brotherly love and stuff like that. So we're going to see if he actually can make it work when it comes to that. And we're going to see if he can actually do his very best to make sure that we have a clean slate situation when it comes to getting in touch with the people who do the cars so that he can create a new business venture when it comes to the transportation of goods and services. Okay? I'm excited to see how that's going to go. Child, I'm out of liquid eyeliner. Let me go get another one. Hold on. Okay, bad news is I don't have another one, but good news is we're going to make this work, okay? But back to what I was saying, I definitely feel like we going to jump into Meech's mother. I would love for them to meet her in Miami because that's the birthplace of, you know, Lil Meech. So we going to see how they're going to have him play his father in a way that portrays how his father met his mother. And I'm super excited to see how this next 2 episodes are going to play out. We love to see it. Talk to me nice. All right, so let's get some lashes. All right, put that in the little corners. We love a good corner mark. I want a little light and a little neutral this time, y'all, and I'm gonna put on a little cat eye. Simple look. We love to see it. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about when it came to this was Detective Veronica Jen. So we know she is getting closer with Henrietta. We know she is low-key choosing her fate in the process of doing so. So let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen as far as her. So I said in my last video that I feel like she's either going to get dropped off by Henrietta, you know, because Henrietta gonna fall in love with the op being, you know, armed services, okay? And or she's gonna end up getting dropped off by former Detective Bryant. Now, I'm starting to feel like Detective Bryant may not be the one to drop her off, only because of the happenings of this episode. So this episode, they did confide in each other. He did kind of sort of let her know, like, I care about you. You know, a little sentimental scene. So before, where I felt like the only person he cared about was his son, now we are seeing that he genuinely cares about Detective Veronica Jen. So it's harder for me to say that he's just gonna let her die, because the only person that I would have saw him sacrificing him for would have been Kevin, but Kevin already got dropped off. So it's not like that's the case anymore. You get what I'm saying? So in that case, I definitely feel like it might be a Henrietta circumstance as far as how the fate of Detective ends up getting played off. Where is... Okay, so we're going to see how that ends up being played out when it comes to, you know, Henrietta finding out that Veronica Jen isn't who she says she is, over here falling in love with a woman who is not who she claimed to be, or whatever the case may be. Child, undercover agent is a crazy life to live. But we're going to see how this works out. I'm also eager to see how Raw Dog Charles ends up, you know, entering the drug game. We know this is his introduction to it. If you know this true story of BMF, you know this is the beginning of something else when it comes to Raw Dog Charles trying to put food on the table and literally doing whatever it takes to win his woman back. So let me know how you feel about that in that circumstance, okay? Let me know about how you feel about Lucille. And honestly, like I said before, I feel like Raw Dog Charles is going to end up winning his wife back, as far as how everything is going to play off in the end. But let me know how you feel about the doctor and how you feel that circumstance is going to end up going, okay? Also, Angel, how you feel like Angel's fate is going to be taking place. I feel like the Haitians are going to have their way with her, or whatever the case may be. I feel like she might die right in front of the beach, honestly. Let me know what you feel about that. Who else? Let me know how you feel about Henrietta and how her dad is going to react to finding out that she had another cousin dropped off because of her antics, okay? Because it is Henrietta's fault when it comes to this death and the last one as far as her other cousin, okay? And of course, if you have anything else that you would like to comment on when it comes to this season, please let me know in the comments. And it's a wrap, y'all. Big shout out to each and every person that has subscribed. Big shout out to all of the new subscribers that will be checking out my channel. 2 more episodes to go. Keep up and watch with me respectfully.